working man. No one pay attention to what's in my head. I got a voice inside that needs to be fed. It's causing chaos everywhere I land. I got a fever. I got a fever.
All right, everybody, and welcome to Ohio Sports Talk. That's the coach, Jordan Maxson. I'm your host, Doug, and that was Bronson Arroyo kicking us off into the show. Jordan, tough night last night. We're going to talk about it. How are you doing today, buddy?
Doing fine. Just learning curve a little bit for the Alter program. It was a little rough to watch a couple of it, but boys did great. Don't take anything bad away from it. Everything's a learning curve. The last couple seasons, they've just had our number. It was year 4 in a row, but we've started 0-1. But we rebound. They'll rebound. The youth program will rebound too, and we'll get up. It'll be fine. A lot to do with it. I'm sure Coach Fresh will chime in at some point, and we're going to bring him on the show here soon.
Yep,
so
sure.
that's official. That's locked in. We got to arrange a date. So for our viewers and fans, he's going to be a part of it. He has an extensive coaching history, so it's going to be really interesting to hear about his coaching on all levels from high school all the way up. A little bit of surprises there, but rough night. The Alter quarterback is going to he's going to rebound. Defense is going to get it together. The staff were great. They're great. We're going to get it together. Some hard work is going to go into it. We had a couple injuries. We didn't have all of our stars. They were kind of nicked up from camp in 2 days, so that kind of put us behind an 8 ball, and just untimely turnovers that put us just really behind. So we were 7-7 in a dogfight, and one costly turnover.
A lot of excuses early here.
Hey, we're not touching that. We're not touching that. We're not going into that.
Jordan, here's the facts, and this is all I'm going to say. I listened to the game. Shout out to Kenner. They did a solid job calling the game last night on the radio. 7-7 going into halftime. You guys come out. You get stopped on 4th down. That was a tough end of the drive. And then I don't know what just happened to me. I will get it fixed here in a second, though. But you guys get stopped on 4th down. Then Fairmont forces the turnover. They go down and score again, and then they kick the field goal, and that's the game. It was tough for you guys. Jordan, Fairmont's a damn good team. 4 years in a row. They've got that running back duo that they've got is very solid, but you guys are going to be back. You guys got a good quarterback, just a couple mistakes. I think you guys have definitely a good rest of the season ahead of you, so let's not go too crazy with it. Jordan, anything else you want to touch on before we get into the show today?
No, just a shout out to the organization. We're going to get it back together. They're going to get back together, and we're going to rebound hard. That's practice is Monday, can't come fast enough, and it starts a new week. So we put that one in the rearview mirror. Your front dash is bigger than your rear view for a reason, because all that matters is what's ahead and not what's behind you. So definitely gonna, it's gonna sting, but that's gonna carry with you, and that's how we learn, Douglas. You and I have been on sports teams with a lot of wins and a lot of losses, and we learn more from the losses than we do the wins, and that's what's gonna happen.
Oh, definitely. Well said. All right, buddy, let's transition. The Cincinnati Reds.
Who doesn't learn anything from losing?
At one point tonight, Jordan, the Cincinnati Reds were up 5-0. The score right now is 6-5 Pirates. The Pirates have scored 5 straight. Ellie's 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. India's 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. I mean, your 2 best guys aren't setting the table. Rosario got a hit tonight. Espinal's hit the ball well. But our 2 top guys not hitting the ball at all against the Pirates, second night in a row. What are your thoughts on the team, Jordan? Just struggling again tonight, and then we're going to go overall. We'll talk more general about the Reds going forward.
They're probably weary, Doug. And, Ellie Deli Cruz is probably one of the weariest ones. The man doesn't get a lot of days off. He kind of went through a stretch. Then he got hot there at the end of the last series. And it was good to see. He went 3 for 4. He had the solo, he had the triple and the loss. And then, the stolen base home. So it's just, God, I mean, there's not much to say besides we sound like a broken record, Douglas. So, we're just kind of retreading that over and over and over. And that, man, that just, I point the compass back to coaching. There's no other excuse, Doug, and I thought about this today, before the show. When the Reds are on it, Douglas, they can hang with the best. I'm not saying they'll beat the best in, a big time series, but they hang with the best. They're competitive. They compete. We get the long ball. We get good defenses. We get standout pitching. When a bullpen is on it, there was a point in the season where they played top 5 in statistics. So when they're on it, Douglas, we beat the teams like the Angels, the Dodgers. We split a series with the Guardians. I mean, the list goes on and on. Then we play a team like the Pirates or St. Louis, or we go to these teams that we have no business losing to, Detroit when they were struggling, the Tigers, and they revert back. It's just like the complete opposite. And, I know we pound the table and we say, they play a level or competition, but Douglas, that comes down to coaching, man. I mean, we're not talking low level. We're talking, these are professionals, millions of dollar players, world class. Regardless of what you think about the talent overall, these guys made it to the majors for a reason. And at the end of the day, if they can't be managed and they can't be inspired, because that's what you have to do on the top levels of any sport when it comes to the NBA, MLB, NHL, NFL, any of these big time sports, they have to be inspired. When you're on a winning team, it's consistently inspired. It's a consistent level of, just you got to come in, you do your work, your expectations are always high, and you're held accountable. And there's that word, Douglas, accountability. Zero accountability in Cincinnati when it comes to the Reds. Zero. None. We heard the speeches. We heard your rant last week. Oh, we've been here before. You know why we've been here before? Because you hold no accountability to the players. You hold no accountability to the captains. You hold no accountability to the ownership, the GM on down and up through the whole organization. Zero accountability. So we can have the most talented roster in what could, at least a top 10 to top 5 talented roster when it comes to individual players. We know what Ellie brings. We know what India brings when he's on. We know our pitching staff with Hunter Green when he's on. We know our bullpen when they get it together. Douglas, we're competitive. But the accountability is not there, and that's just what I'm going to sum it up tonight. It's 110% zero accountability in Cincinnati, where you can, you lose 0-7 to Pittsburgh. That's accountability. That's a problem. And that's the difference between mediocre teams, okay teams, and great teams. It's accountability. And that's why the Reds will never go much above 500, even with all the talent we got in the farm system and on the active roster. It's not enough when it comes to the coaching staff. They need to go. Nick Kroll needs to go. If ownership had any mind at all, it would be done tomorrow. We would just say, hey, if we have any kind of, I believe the last statistic I saw was 0.9%. After last night, it was like 1.9, 1.5. Now we're not even a percentage point in for making the playoffs statistically. So we just need to beat it out of here. Your mic might be muted, but I'm gonna lean it to you when you're ready.
Yeah, no, the playoffs are done. We're out of that conversation. That's been over. That the Kansas City series sealed that away. We spoke on that. The Reds did get a little good news, Jordan. Hunter Green isn't going to need any surgery, anything like that. He'll be headed back to join the club at the end of his IL stint. That's a silver lining because Hunter Green's pitching his ass off for this team, and I do want to watch him pitch out the rest of the year and see what he can end up with because, that's our guy, and we don't have a lot of other bright spots at the moment. Ellie's had a great season. We know that. Tyler Stevenson's having his best statistical season in terms of the home runs and such. So some of that, there's a couple bright spots, but this team's just not good enough, Jordan. We think they're super talented, but then you really look at it and they're not as talented as I think we give them credit for. I think they have potential, but potential isn't, here today. We could be potentially very good, but that's not what's here today for the team. And I think we kind of run those two together sometimes. Yeah, Ellie's a very good player, and he has a chance to be a really great player. You know,
well, he's going to be a superstar in the league, regardless if he's scared.
Hunter Green is borderline a superstar. You know, Nick Lodolo has the potential to be one of those type of guys, but I think we kind of overlook how talented the Reds are sometimes. And, you know, this season, along with David Bell and Nick Kroll trying to assemble the Avengers of the waiver wire, you know, to help this team, it's kind of bullshit. You know, you kind of like making these moves. It's like, well, where was this at the trade deadline when we really needed it and we really needed a splash to be made? It's too little, too late. I'm going to keep supporting the guys, keep, you know, hammering it home, but it seems like another wasted season. And how many of these wasted seasons are we going to have with David Bell? It just feels like we've hit our ceiling and we've touched on it. We've hammered it home and we're beating a dead horse at this point, bud. You know, I mean, you know, it's embarrassing. You know, Reds sign ex-Red Sox first baseman Smith for playoff push. Get the fuck out of here, man. We're not making a playoff push. We can't beat Pittsburgh. You know, like we're out of the playoff push. It's over. So let's put that to bed. Jordan, let's talk about something else a little bit more exciting. Football season is nearly here. Let's talk a little bit about your Cincinnati Bengals. You guys played last night. They had the Jordan Battle had the nice pick six.
Yes.
That was impressive. You know, some injuries though, Jordan, some injuries are kind of flaring up for you guys. How do you feel with the preseason coming to an end last night for the Bengals?
Well, let's start with the good. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly. We'll take a little page from Clint Eastwood here. The good, like you said, Jordan Battle looks very comfortable, very coached. You know, bringing Von Bell in to kind of mentor him. I definitely saw that in the preseason during his snap counts. You know, sealing off the preseason with a pick six is always something that you want to see. Yeah. So I think the young man is going to, you know, he had about a PFF grade of about 72 last year overall for his body of work and the limited number of snaps because he was not a full-time guy as a rookie. So you know, that's only going to go up.
Yeah. Oh, Jordan's having a quick mistake. We'll remove him for a sec. Wait till he comes back. But like you were saying, you know, these young guys getting these opportunities. I want to talk about Jermaine Burton a little bit. So when Jordan gets back, he is. I want to talk about Jermaine Burton real quick, Jordan. What the story comes out today? It was kind of a confusing story about him, you know, kind of sleeping during meetings and stuff, and you couldn't really tell if it was about Bama or about the with his time with the Bengals. But he played last night and he looked good. Had the touchdown, caught 4 or 5 passes. What are your thoughts on Jermaine Burton? Because it feels like everybody else around him's kind of set in stone. We know where Chase is going to be. We know where Higgins is going to be. We know Yoshi's a talented receiver. We know we have these pieces in place. What are your thoughts on Jermaine Burton, and what were your thoughts on that story that came out earlier today about Jermaine Burton?
The story didn't really shock me because many episodes ago, Doug, when we talked about, you know, the post-draft, that Nick Saban's reaction when he got drafted said it all for us. Okay. And he also made the statement. He said, Nick Saban said on live TV, I hope the young man makes, you know, the necessary moves to be a pro. Mm-hmm. So we knew he had character issues coming in because everything indicated that he was going to be a second-round draft pick. So the fact that he slipped down, Doug, tells me that, you know, we picked up a guy with a little bit of baggage. Okay. And Nick Saban confirmed that when he got rocking. So I'm not shocked that this story came out. I kind of took it as, you know, that was his old self. But if a guy that is so highly coveted is playing in the fourth quarter in the last preseason game, maybe there was some issues there because, you know, I know both as a coach and as a player that if you're going that deep in the season and you're kind of a roster lockup, which we all know he is. The young man is very talented, was very talented in SEC, sure. Very successful in Alabama, has big explosive plays. You know, we saw it in the game before that. This game just kind of highlighted it. So if he can get over that block, and, you know, he's trained with TJ Hushmanzada, which is, you know, world-class guy that's come out in many seminars, you know, talking to rookies, saying, you know, replaying kind of Hushmanzada's mistake in his mouth during when he was active and being a pro.
Yeah.
that maybe he can just clean it up. I hope it's from his time in Alabama, but playing that deep into the fourth quarter, Douglas, kind of tells me maybe there was some issues behind the scenes that, I'm not saying it's necessarily a punishment, but for a team that's already banged up and you're taking an explosive player like that in the fourth quarter, I wasn't necessarily happy about it. I was thrilled to see the play, but we already knew he had that playmaking ability. So I think it was kind of a disciplinary issue. Hopefully the team, him, his camp, the team, it's ironed out. We can look, week one with the Patriots is so close. We're about a week and a half and some change away that we can just kind of shape it up and everybody gets it together. But Jermaine Burton is going to be explosive. I kind of put him over Yoshi when it comes to explosiveness.
Oh,
but
yeah,
Yoshi, Yoshi has hands. So I think you're going to see those guys rotate a lot. I think he's going to play over Irwin. We know when Irwin brings to the table, he's going to make those fourth down catches. Just that's what he does. But our big explosive play for the third guy, I think when you need it, is going to be Burton. I think that those deep shots that Joe Burrow loves to take is going to go his way early and often because our other two receivers, Douglas, whenever that holdout comes to fruition with Chase,
I'm going to ask you about it here in a second.
You're not going to get a quarter one or a quarter two on him. So
Right.
We're going to get a favorable matchup on him. It may even be a linebacker or a safety. And that's something we have to exploit early and often. Opening the umbrella is something Cincinnati struggled with if our two main guys are shut down. And now this year, I feel like, not taking anything away from Tyler Boyd, but he was a slot guy. He was there to, kind of destroy the zone. But Burton can take that umbrella and, break that shield. So, I'm super excited for him. I think you're looking at, 4 or 5 touchdowns, 400 to 500 yards for the guy for the season as a rookie. I don't think he's going to break the 1K marker by any stretch, but he's a guy that's going to make the, big explosive plays when we need him, when everybody else is being covered up.
Yeah.
So,
that's fair.
he's going to have a great season. And I hope he gets his shit together.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, talented kid, like we said. Nick Saban's made that very clear. A couple injury concerns here, Jordan. Miles Murphy is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with a knee injury he sustained in joint practice. That's tough. I expect the Bengals, after cuts are made, to probably make a move to bring somebody in. What are your thoughts there? Because that's another guy up front that you guys are losing for an extended period of time.
Doug, the defensive end position has been a mess. So we've got Sam Hubbard was nicked up. He's going to be okay for week one, but it's still something you got to consider his age, not taking anything away from him and his injury history. That's something we got to monitor. Miles Murphy now, missing could be 6 games is the far end I'm reading. Cam Stample's missing the whole season. Jeff Gunther got up and retired and said, "I'm done with football." So that's that a 25-year-old guy that we drafted in a 4th or 5th round a couple of years ago. So Doug, we got to be making some phone calls. So either somebody, like you said, I think the Bengals we're a cheaper organization when it comes to it. We're probably going to get somebody from the waiver wire when it comes to cut day, or we're going to make that kind of hopefully that BJ Hill trade that I alluded to last episode. We'll offer somebody. Thank God it's not going to be Jackson Carman, who was officially cut off the team today. So congratulations to the Bengals for getting rid of that bum.
Was he actually? Was he?
Yeah, he is one of the 11 players that were cut today. That's why
he was.
On our X account, some dummy from Cleveland was saying, "Snatch him up." I'm glad he said something.
God, that fucking guy. What an idiot. Has he watched a snap of Jackson Carmine? Like, all you have to do is watch one snap and this guy can't do it.
No.
I understand he wanted him to be a backup, but dude, that's such a waste of a roster spot. I hope we don't grab him. That'd be dumb.
He'll go to a team, but I hope it's Carolina. So moving away from that thought. But we definitely got to get on the waiver wire. Maybe, I don't know, maybe reunite. There's some players out there that I would love to see, but Doug, we need help. Just flat out, the pass rush was already kind of not there last year. We have unproven talent at the defensive tackle position, especially when it comes to the 3 tech, and not having outside edge rushers besides our main 2 guys. it can't happen. So we got to make some phone calls, got to get on a waiver wire. And, we'll hopefully on Monday, I'll be on this episode with a smile on my face saying that they did it. Duke Tobin finally woke up. So, wherever he's sleeping at, with the Cleveland GM, whatever getaway they're at for they need to get together and really, start making some damn phone calls because it's almost panic mode.
Let's just touch on it briefly, Jordan. Jamar Chase has still not been paid. The holdout continues. He has been around the facility. He has been around practice, but this is continuing to drag on. Any concerns that this drags on into the season? Any concerns?
I'm absolutely concerned because, between Adam Schefter, Chad Johnson / Ocho Cinco, whatever you want to call him, everybody kind of indicated
the weird hints.
The hints have been there that this would happen before the Indianapolis game and that he was going to get a few snaps. But when I heard it wasn't going to be a dress rehearsal like I hoped, I kind of lost hope that the contract would happen before that game. So maybe Monday again, we'll hit the waiver wire and we'll get some, Jamar Chase news. I think it happens this weekend, Douglas. They can't go past this weekend. They gotta start practicing on their own, outside the joint practices and when the final cuts and all this roster crap that Duke Tobin has to handle and, Katie Blackburn. Now we can go back to our number one guy and sign the check, get it done, and take care of business because, without Uno, Douglas, it's going to be a long year. And, I don't blame the man. I'm not going to sit here and curse him. The NFL stands for not for long league. It is a business at the end of the day. Anything can happen on any given Sunday when it comes to injuries. You don't know how long you're going to play this game. So get the man paid so we can move on to that one. T. Higgins is already locked in for this season. Get Jamar paid. Play with your best two guys. Go down into the sunset. See how far we can take us.
For sure, I'm totally with you. I hope it gets done because he's too talented to not. I think he's going to play no matter what. But get the contract done. Don't risk it. Quick shout out, 70 live viewers. Thank you to everybody. As always, that means a bunch to us. Jordan, let's transition and talk a little bit about the Cleveland Browns. The best team in Ohio continues to get a little bit more healthy, Jordan. This past week, Jack Conklin started getting some work in individually on the field. Jed Wills getting some work in on the field. Those are our two tackles besides DeJuan Jones. So that is a positive with a couple weeks left before the season starts. Hopefully we can at least get one of those guys active for game one, especially against Micah Parsons and the Dallas O-line or the Dallas D-line. Would love to have those guys back and be closer to full strength on the offensive line.
They might be CeeDee Lamb-less, Doug.
I hope so. I'm rooting for that to happen, but we still got 2 weeks, so there's a lot of time, there just is a lot of time. So I'm expecting CeeDee Lamb to be out there. I'm hoping, Denzel Ward is dealing with another concussion. That's extremely sad. Our best corner, but he just can't seem to stay healthy. Quick shout out to Michael Wilkes. Damn, Dim Brown, stop talking to her. That's from the Bearded Browns podcast. Good guy. Thanks for tuning in with us. But yeah, I mean, you're missing your number one corner. You're missing your two tackles who are potentially getting healthier. Watson's dealing with arm soreness. There's some positives and then there feels like there's a lot of negatives still with this team. As an outsider, what are your thoughts on the Browns coming into that home stretch with the final preseason game against Seattle this weekend?
Always good to see the trenches getting a little bit healthy. I don't only root against them twice a year, Douglas. So yeah. Respectably. But, how'd you feel? I kind of want to point the spotlight back on you before I take up the air here. How did you feel about the last preseason game, and how do you feel about the run game going in? Because I know we kind of touched on it last episode. We're both kind of in question. I saw a little bit of improvement, so I'm feeling a little bit better about it as an outsider. Do you share those thoughts, or is it just because I see it from a different telescope?
I don't like. I think Jerome Ford is a good backup. I don't think he's a good starter. And I've talked about before, without Nick Chubb, I feel like this run game is very limited. And when you're missing a guy like Nick Chubb, you're going to be limited. But I'm not as high on some of these other running backs. Like, I know we got some change of pace guys. We got some guys who can catch the ball out of the backfield. We got a kick returner in Naheem Hines. But to me, they don't change the game from a running facet. You don't have to load the box to stop these guys. You don't have to do anything special to slow these guys down. And that worries me because we need at least somebody to change the pace. We need we need that guy like Nick Chubb. We need that guy who can hit a home run or he can get you 6 yards of carry. We need that guy, and we don't have that guy. And I think that should have been addressed because we knew Nick Chubb was gonna take time for him to get back, and we didn't address it, and that worries me. Michael, he said, I'm going from 11-6 to 9-8. Injuries are going to kill us again, and there will be no remedy this year. That's a sentiment I feel like a lot of grounded Browns fans have. There are still a lot of people that are extremely optimistic. The injuries are a massive, massive concern. Just because Wills and Conklin are getting some work in individually, that doesn't really mean they're going to be ready. Nick Chubb, we don't know when he's coming back. The arm soreness for Watson is a concern. Setting aside everything else, it just hasn't worked with Watson to the level it needed to. And this was going to be the year that it really needed to click. So if he can't get it together and be healthy, it's already one of the worst trades of all time. It will be the worst trade of all time if things do not improve this year. And that's sad because I want him to succeed. I want him to be the quarterback of the team. I do believe in Jameis Winston, but Watson has a higher ceiling potential-wise if he's all together. So a lot of concerns in Cleveland also. I was trying to, spin it and be happy that the tackles are getting back, but there's still a lot of question marks, Jordan, a lot of question marks on this roster.
And outside looking in, Douglas, I think you guys will be busy on the waiver wire too. I think running back is something you're probably going to evaluate when it comes to teams cutting. I think you're going to see probably a few veterans hit the market, which is not always a bad thing. Sometimes they just need a new voice, a new locker room, and a new home. So, wherever that comes from, I think like P. Ron for the Broncos is going to be on the market from everything I've read. He was a successful Bengal. I know a lot of Cincinnati fans, but that'd be a guy I could so see in Cleveland, taking the ball kind of on big third downs, and he's great in pass protection. He still hasn't lost his touch there. So, it'd be kind of interesting to see that. But, there are going to be other guys out there. And, there's going to be other O linemen that's not going to make the team. So, waiver wire is always kind of the second wave of free agency is how I always look at it, because we're cutting, we're plugging, we're playing, and everybody's going to fill their holes. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be the wild, wild west here for both of our teams. But Douglas, your defense is still sound. It's still tight. Yes. Your defensive line still looks great. Linebacking core is still being evaluated, but getting Bush, I think, is going to be a great, depth piece. He's proven himself in camp. He's proven himself in the preseason. So I'm happy to see that. Your wide receiver corps is set in stone. So let's look at the great things you got going on there. Jerry Jeudy's prime for a great season, no matter who's throwing him the ball. We know what Cooper can do. 5 different quarterbacks last year, Cooper got it done. So if it comes down to Jameson Winston's shoulders, those guys are going to come through for you. And, Winston's been in big games. We know the big seasons that he had in Tampa Bay when he had talent around him. So this should kind of mirror that. You should feel a little bit more confident when it comes to a guy that can command the offense. I believe in Jameis Winston. I think New Orleans kind of reset his mind. I never thought he was going to be big there just because of that style of offense they run and the big inconsistencies they had on the O-line. So, Douglas, I think you got a little gem there, and, the offense around him is going to be great. Regardless of the run game, I think he can carry you with his arm. He was a heavy passer when he was in that West Coast style in Tampa Bay. They never had a run game to kind of begin with before Tom Brady got there for his first season. Yeah. And they signed all those big-time free agents, But I see positive things, so I'm not as worried about it as you are, but when you're a hardcore fan, like I'm a hardcore fan for Cincinnati, we're always going to hit the panic button. I'm hitting the panic button on our defense, and your running back room and offensive line you're not feeling comfortable with. But I think you guys take care of business against Dallas, and you build from there. I see it, Doug. I gave you the win on our pick show, and
I did
I'm
too.
not
I
wavering.
did
I'm
too.
not wavering from that. I'm not going to waver for it.
Michael says, "Could our defense, like the old saying, win a championship?" Michael, if I was completely sold on our linebacker core, I would say yes. Outside of JOK, there are 2 question marks on the linebacker core, and that position worries me a little bit. Not to the extreme. I think Jordan Hicks is a really good middle linebacker who's budding into being a really consistent player. And then Devin Bush has kind of, like you said, Jordan, in camp, he's really solidified himself, and I think he could play a decent majority of stats. Means a lot coming from a Cincy fan, Jordan. So, Michael, giving you a little shout out there. But, I'm worried. I'm sure there's a lot of Browns fans out there who are worried also. It's going to be an interesting season. You start off with Dallas. It could get ugly against Dallas real quick. And Jerome Ford not playing in any of the preseason games, Jordan, and he might play against Seattle. To me, that indicates they're pretty comfortable with him from a franchise standpoint. So I don't know if they make any moves to bring in anybody because we know Nick Chubb will be back at some point. Can we just get the holdover until he's back? We don't know. So, Jordan, let's transition though.
But if there's a name out there, you got to kick the tires. You got to bring.
I agree.
You got to bring in some running backs at least for a workout. Stefanski and company has always been that they've done well with bringing in talent. So I hate saying that as a Bengals fan because I feel like we do the complete opposite when we need it the most. But and that's just me being honest as an analyst, not as a bias. So I think Stefanski is going to bring somebody in. It's just a question of, are you going to bring in a bruiser or are you going to bring in a speed back? And I hope they go the bruiser.
You think
you need a speed guy?
Jerome Ford is clocked being fast, but to me, he's not a speed guy. But Jordan, let's transition. We've got 2 weeks to talk about this. We're going to be all about it. Let's transition. Let's talk Ohio news and notes. Jordan, this weekend, FC Cincinnati takes on Inter Miami in a massive, massive game. Tomorrow night, that's going to be a fun one. What are your thoughts going into this game? It's kind of feels like a must-win to me. What are your thoughts?
From an MLS standpoint, it feels like a must-win. But Douglas, they won a lot in the international play. Outside of the MLS play, they went to the tournaments. They played really well, and I think that rebooted this team. So I got to watch a little bit of those games, and this team looks refreshed. We're getting some players back. It's post-Olympic play. I know it goes both ways for both Miami and us. So we're kind of getting our full-strength team back. And the role players of that nature, when everybody else was out for the Olympics, they did really well in international play. So I'm confident that we're going to take care of business. But I think it's going to be a slobber knocker. I think it's going to be that 3-4, 4-5. I think you're going to see a lot of fireworks from both teams. Everybody's going to be anxious to kind of get back to, big time play here. And like you said, we're beyond halfway point of the season. So the implications on this, with Columbus at our heels and Miami right there and us right there, it's a three-headed dog race, and it is kind of a must-win, Doug, when it comes to the stats, points, and getting separation for the postseason.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So huge game. Jordan, Michael wants you to turn your phone sideways next episode. Michael is now fixing the production of the show, and I appreciate that. He wants you to try sideways next week. So just a little FYI. Quick update. The Reds lose 6-5 to the Pirates. Ellie De La Cruz 0 for 5 with 2 strikeouts. He comes up, does not get a hit in the clutch to lose the game. That one's a rough loss. The Reds are now 5 games under 500. And like we said earlier, puts a nail in the coffin there. Jordan, what other sports news do we want to touch on before we get out of here tonight?
We touched on the Buckeyes. Go ahead.
A week away from the Buckeyes, dude. Go ahead. Talk about it.
No, I'm excited. We touched on it last episode. We got our quarterback in place. The offense is ready to rock. It's against Akron. So we're definitely ready to go. I was happy to hear if anybody listens to the Urban Meyer podcast, he was kind of touching on, his thoughts on this talented IO baby, and this thoughts on this talented team that has more pro talent than I can remember. either during the Trusso era or the Urban Meyer era. So this is we're loaded to go, Doug. It's just a matter of getting there. I know College Game Day kicks off their episode tomorrow in Dublin. That's going to be fun to see Pat Mack and the boys get back. They're going to highlight the season, and we got the Ducks matchup. You want to talk about that? That was kind of the news broke against Oregon there.
Yeah. So like we reported on our page, Ohio State is going to be at Oregon, 7:30 Eastern time, 4:30 their time. That is per Joel Klatt. So if you are watching, that'll be a massive, massive game. We got a lot of interaction with that tweet, so that was great. But yeah, Jordan, tomorrow college football kicks off. We've got Florida State and Boston College, or not Boston College, but Florida State versus Georgia Tech. Geez, sorry. But that'll be fun. I'm glad college basketball is back. Michael asks, Oregon, the new big rivalry. It kind of feels like they want. It feels like Oregon wants to be our rival. Is what I should say.
Their fan base does.
I don't feel like we are their rival. Michigan is still obviously the number one rival. But I'll tell you what, if Oregon punches us in the mouth, it's going to feel like a rivalry. It's going to feel pretty ugly. Come that game. So I think we're going to work our way into probably being a rival with Oregon going forward. I would assume they'll be a rival going forward. Stomp that duck. Let's go. So Jordan, we gone 36 minutes tonight. Let's wrap it up, buddy.
Let me just ask this though, because Oregon wasn't the only team we absorbed. Do you think USC is going to make any noise on the other side of the Big Ten?
No, they're not ready. Their O-line and D-line play is not ready. It's going to take a couple years. We saw that be an issue for them in the big games against Utah. We saw it in big games against Oregon, against Washington. The O-line definitely failed them. It's going to take them a little bit of time. They have talent, but I don't think they can hang with the best teams in the Big Ten right away. It's going to take some time to adjust and get ready for those. All right. Bye, Michael. See you Monday. Good guy. Fun night with him. But Jordan, yeah, I mean, I just think it's going to take time for USC. So
I agree. I agree with that, but it's just a team that nobody really talks about. So, they came to the Big Ten. You don't hear anything about them. Granted, they didn't do anything big last year, other than their individual players did. But as a team, they didn't do anything big last year to warrant that conversation. But it's just something I was thinking about the other day. Like everybody's talking about Oregon, Ohio State. And I was just like, what about the other teams we absorbed? And just USC
Washington might be all right. Yeah, Washington will be solid. They're coming. Their coach went to Bama though, and they lost a lot of transfers. So it's going to take time for some of these teams. I think Oregon is ready right now to contend for the Big Ten championship, and I think that's why they get the most talked about. But Jordan, we've almost hit the 40-minute mark. You've got some film to probably study after the last night. You've got we're expecting some big things next week. We switched the nights, so I can't wait to be back with you again Monday night live, 9:00. Please come in, support us as you guys always do. 86 live viewers tonight. Thank you. Means a lot to us. Shout out to Michael for being in the chat all night. It was great going back and forth with you.
We're competing against Friday Night Lights, so 80 viewers is huge for us. We know a lot of parents are out right now watching their own kids play, watching their own, cities out there. So we appreciate you guys spending time with us, adjusting our day for my schedule. So, big shout out to everybody that tunes in, interacts, hit that retweet button, visit our gift shop. We're still selling koozies, big things there. We got a few projects in the works. Can't wait to get them to you. And we'll see you Monday. We love all you guys and really appreciate it.
Hell yeah. So live Monday night. See you guys there. This has been Ohio Sports Talk. See you next time, buddy. Cheers.